we're going live. Is it just me or is it a little noisy out there? Yeah, I'll get it actually. And if there's anything I can do, to make this, oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Oh, it's great. I did do this one time with a bunch of people and one time with no people. All right. So, welcome. It is 7 o'clock, our new start time for the fall. My name is Christine Clardy. I'm subbing for Annie tonight. It's my pleasure to be a guide, and I'm also blurry. Not sure how to fix that at the moment. Okay, we might be blurry. Hi, Tara. I am blurry and I apologize. I'm trying to know a way to, I know how to fix this on Zoom. Let me see if I can fix it. Maybe it just looks blurry to me. Maybe it doesn't look blurry to anyone else. Yeah, so Annie is traveling. She sends her regards, of course. And of course, we are all sending her love and best wishes for safe travels and productive time away. Tonight, we will be investigating what I'm calling the essential daily practice. And I think we'll begin with a simple shared clearing breath. So you might place a hand over the heart, maybe even two hands. The head might bow to the heart, or you could find any other position that is stable and comforting to you this evening. Feel an inhale enter. Let it go completely. In this growing spaciousness, we may sense ourselves opening to a possibility of being here now completely. A sense of willingness and curiosity, maybe even commitment to take a dip and flow with whatever occurs in our bodies and minds and hearts this evening. We'll do 3 silent ohms together. Of course, if you're in your space and would like to be audible, that's welcome. But even if we're not sharing space, we might feel an in-breath. And as the exhale comes, let the sound of Om resonate for as long and low as the exhale. A second time. Om. And as that last exhale, resonance of Om dissolves, you might tuck your chin, lengthening through the neck. Let the eyes be heavy. Cast downward and flutter the eyes open gently. And greet the community, our community of meditators. Everyone who's here with us now. as well as all of those who go with us in spirit. Thank you for being here this evening. Some of you may have noticed as I opened our session this evening that I left something out. Usually you will hear Annie or me or whoever is the guide of the evening meditation or almost any meditation here at Sun and Moon remind you that comfort first is our principle, is our opening principle. We encourage you to take time to arrive completely, arrange your body in something that feels inviting, use whatever props and supports you might need. You can't see, but we're here on cushions, right? And we have things that will let the body feel settled and taken care of. Sometimes your guide even suggests what to do with your hands, whether it's holding a small pillow or a folded item, or even taking a mudra, some specific gesture with the hands. And often we'll even add words like, for the remainder of our time tonight, know that you always have the option of moving your body if you feel uncomfortable or compelled to do so. I know I typically do say that. So I skipped it tonight, curious if anyone would notice. And I thought we would consider for a moment why comfort first is our opening principle. Of course, we know that sitting in a comfortable way, when we do that, we avoid aches and pains. This is true in our car, at the desk. When we go to a movie theater, they have these amazing cushy seats so that you don't get distracted. You can really watch that movie and eat that popcorn. So we're familiar, right, with just that instinct to be comfortable. And we also might further have understanding about the nervous system, and that when we give a little TLC to the body, we release difficult stagnations in the nervous system where the fight, flight, freeze gear has engraved or left behind harmful stress hormones and muscle tension. And we give our bodies a chance to heal when we're relaxed. Being comfortable helps us be relaxed. We can switch gears in from that sympathetic nervous system of fight, flight, freeze into the relaxation response of rest and digest. And anything we can do to any barrier we can control to help that happen, we do. So we definitely take care with how we sit. Sometimes we even recline, right, in a meditation. But in terms of a meditation practice, when we take care of how we enter and how we come to the seat physically, we're also trying to build rapport with the practice itself to make it something that we would want to do every day. Because ideally, we are doing meditation every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Gandhi referred to when he entered meditation, he referred to it as blessed monotony, which is a beautiful thing to think of. And I'm not sure that I will achieve anything like a Gandhi-esque state of meditation, but I do like this idea that there's a blessed repetition and monotony to it. I've also heard the entry to meditation needing something like oil in the gate. And I kind of like that, because if I'm putting a little oil in the gate as I enter the space of meditation, I'm helping things be smooth. So if I use an extra cushion, or have a little sip of water before, whatever I can do to oil the gate will make it more inviting, so that ostensibly I would come to meditate without any hesitation at all. And we do have hesitations, I think. I know I do. And maybe not. If you're that person, you could just hang up right now. But I find that sometimes like I rush into it or I avoid it altogether. I'm reminded of one of my kids who was a little afraid of learning how to swim. He was like 2.5, 3 years old. And we took him to a swim coach who was really good with kids who were reluctant. Part of it was he would get way up in his head and he would think about it a lot, like, am I going to float? How do people float? What is that all about? But when you're 2, you can't really understand, you know, the physics of floating. You have to just kind of get in there and float. And so his teacher brought him to a pool that had these steps that went very slowly down, 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 with a rail that kind of went along with it. And she put a Smartie on each section of the rail so that as he stepped a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper, he had a little Smartie each time. And sure enough, he can swim, and he was floating and he was totally cool with it. So we definitely need a little oil in the gate at times. We need our Smarties in life. So if there's a particular seat that becomes familiar to you, if you do have that in your practice, please don't hang up. You don't have to do that. But if you do have that in your practice, maybe you've already discovered that there is a blessed monotony to coming to the same place, right? The same altar, the same cushion, the same chair, whatever it is. It's a true fact that we do tend to orient around routine. So if you don't have that, that will probably be replaced by something else. So I noticed recently that I have been going to the same place on the same couch to have my coffee for like months now. And I didn't really intend that, but it's just like a gravity. It's like a groove that kind of takes me there. And it's good. It's pleasant. I enjoy it. It's got a nice view. But it just occurs to me how instinctive that is and how inviting that is. And maybe we can leverage that into our meditative practices as well. So it seems essential to have some oil in the gate, or Smarties, or Jolly Ranchers, whatever the case may be. It also seems definite that the 24-hour period, the 24-hour stretch that we call a day, is about the time it does take for us to need to find the seat of meditation again. It's about that much activity and emotion and tasking and disappointment, even if it's not particularly dramatic, that kind of gets balled up, crammed up, kind of jammed up. I know some people even talk about having a feeling in different sensations behind their eyes or in their heads or in certain muscle groups that speak to them and say, not with words, but with this nonverbal communication, I'm ready to take a break. I'm ready for the meditation. I'm ready. If it's a little kid having a tantrum, it might be, I'm ready for my nap. Right? So we all have these built-in systems that will speak to us. We all know the need to sleep and dream every day. We eat food every day, brush our teeth every day, exercise daily. There's just something about that sense of the sun going up and the sun coming down that seems like the right time to be doing our meditation. And this is part of why we call it practice, not performance or accomplishment. It's a meditation practice because just like we repeatedly reenact routines for meals and sleep and exercise, by virtue of that repetition, we can call them habits. That's what a habit is. So if we want to replace sitting on the couch, having that cup of coffee with something different, you would have to repeat that. Right? I think it was Oprah Winfrey maybe who said, if you do something for 28 days in a row, you're done. That's a habit. So Oprah, she's probably got some game. That sounds like a pretty good long time to me. If we can commit to reenacting these routines for parts of our physical health, I think that we can also commit and devote time for our emotional, mental, and spiritual selves as well. But unlike shooting for 28 days or eating a target number of calories or training to lift a certain weight or needing to run a certain speed before a date, a game day, there is no set calendar date by which we would attain skill or even improvement in our emotional, mental, and spiritual states. There's not a game day. So, and we don't know when it's coming, right? Or if it's coming. So, thus, the idea of practice is is another inviting thing. Like, there's no last meditation. There's just meditation. Um, Additionally, it's encouraging to know there's no ranked or measured kind of meditation. There's no measurement for deep and a deep and meaningful level of concentration or calm. So, if I'm trying to take time off my run, I can see that with seconds. If I'm trying to change the way I relate to myself during meditation, there's not a measurement for that. There's nobody, hooking up sensors and keeping track. And and that is to me kind of the blessed part of blessed monotony. It's just getting there and doing it. That's the thing. What happens next is almost, I was going to say irrelevant, but we'll call it icing on the cake. Yeah. In the Yoga Sutras, which is one of the texts that guides our yoga and meditation, Patanjali addresses this kind of uncertainty when we read, practice becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated. Practice becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated. So, right off the bat, we know that in our meditation practice, what we're really looking for is just habit, just the firmly established thing. He's not talking about what happens, right? He's saying it's firmly established. Um, and the text does not define the quality of internal experience. So, there's no way of knowing if during your meditation, there's no way anyone else would know if you'd rather be eating French fries or sitting in the movie theater in the comfy, cozy chair, right? You know, and you can watch that play of experience, and that's what you're there for. I like the idea or the concept of a practice that is cultivated because it reminds me of being planted. And when we plant a seed, there's effort involved, and we're not always guaranteed a growth and a harvest. Just like when you come to the meditation seat, you don't know what's going to happen next. Um, and there is some effort in plumping the soil, right? Getting things ready, like we've just described. And so all of those things are necessary. I think we'll play around a little with that tonight. So as we work into our next moments of seated meditation, um, we will formally label it as such. So let's do that now. It occurs to me that even the littlest kid, when they go to school, they have these periods in the day that they look forward to, even though they don't know exactly what's going to happen during this period of time. It's a set period of time and it's going to last a certain length, and it's called recess. And even though they don't know exactly what it's going to be, they 100% know that it's different than what's happening every other part of the day. So we're going to recess. We're going to meditate. The intention to distinguish these times is part of the devotional aspect. And the idea of devotion is taking a vow, making an intention, making a promise um, to be present for what comes next. So the last thing I'll say before we move into our next piece is I learned a math term. Are you a math person? Yeah. So I learned the inflection point is a math term. And the inflection point is probably one of the most precise ways to measure a turn or a change. So when the kids pour out to recess, they're probably bouncing off the walls a little bit before and a little bit after, so it's not quite so precise, but maybe there is a bell that rings. But in math, the inflection point is the point on a curve at which the curvature changes from concave to convex or vice versa. So if you imagine the arch, and we have a violinist here, so she's all about it, and I'm thinking of dips and troughs, and there's a mathematical moment where, in simpleton terms for me, you go from moving up to moving down, and because it's math, sine and cosine and calculus, there is a definable moment. So let's have an inflection point for entering the gate, for entering our meditation. We will get firmly established. The parabola, the arc has turned. Let yourself sit. If you're not normally a sitter for meditation, consider tonight finding a seat. If you've been seated for a while we've been hanging out here, you can shift. I'd like you to give yourself some Smarties. Feel like this is a position. Really scan and be honest. Feel like this is a seated position you can kind of live with, one that you can surrender to. One that you can surrender to. The hands, filled with sensitivity, may already be feeling rested and stable. You might consider a mudra, something familiar. Pointer and thumb gently touching each other, or maybe thumb tucked in between the middle and the ring fingers. We'll move more deeply, more firmly into this practice with some guided imagery on my part, and then some time of silence. I will tell you the specific number of minutes of silence. If you were to go to the dentist and sit in the chair and have no idea when the experience would end, you might choose to never go. But know that as we sit here this evening, we'll begin with a guided meditation and then minutes of silence preceded by my telling you how many minutes that will be. Ride the rhythm of the breath. Feel the heaviness of your hands. Any other waves of sensation as they build and fall. You might bring to mind the visual image of a porch, open air or screened in, up high or near the ground. Imagine you're sitting on this porch, easy and comfortable. Perhaps you can even see yourself sitting in the perfect rocking chair. Again, feeling the rhythm of the rocking. Notice what sounds are here with you in this place. Sounds of birds and breeze. Are there any smells here with you? Think of where your porch is located, the aromas that come. either from the world outside or the house that's attached to your perfectly lovely porch. It may be that the sound of my voice even begins to recede, as if it were becoming the distant sound of music playing somewhere inside the house. While you sit and rock and enjoy this porch, imagine what you're seeing: clouds, sky, cozy cushions, people around you, pets, plants. And let that moment that you're looking at expand. If there were an inflection point at which you could enter, let that point be not just one point on a parabola. Add a third dimension so that instead of a simple drawing of a wave, perhaps there's a dome, perhaps there's a net, perhaps each moment expands into the next. We'll sit quietly in silence. You won't hear the sound of my voice for 8 minutes. Where have you traveled? Where has your mind taken you? You might still be in your lovely, spacious, airy porch, maybe someplace else completely. We'll continue from here. Maintain the seat if you would like. We'll continue with another period of sitting. So, suppose during the seated meditation, particularly when it's silent like that, you get really hung up on how you're feeling, like my hip, my back, whatever. Um, Suppose you change your original position because it is uncomfortable and assume another position. And what happens after a while is that the new position becomes uncomfortable, and then you want another position, and then you change that one. And after a while, it too becomes uncomfortable. And so you go on shifting and moving and changing one position to another the whole time that you're on your meditation cushion or on your seat. And at that point, we've not taken advantage of the opportunity of increasing our ability to have a deep and meaningful level of concentration. So we were chatting about lifting weights a moment ago. When you lift weights or really do any kind of exercise, there's tiny, tiny microscopic tears that happen in the muscle fiber. And when they heal and repair, that's when the muscle becomes strengthened, right? And of course, weightlifters kind of leverage that and they become really, really big. That's not what I'm talking about, but just the natural process of using your muscles. There's healthy strain, right, that produces a toned and fit muscle. And kind of the same is true when we sit in our meditation. So you might consider the fact that this tradition of sitting dates back thousands of years of human experience. And we're asked to sit partly in order to stay awake, assuming you're well rested. If you need to sleep, you should sleep. Um, and partly so that you can pay attention to the breath, right? And notice the patterns of the breathing. Regardless of its condition or its health. So it's not that we're trying to breathe perfectly, it's that we're just trying to notice what is the breath up to, right? So maybe during that sit that we just did, you kind of notice changes. At first, when you sit down, maybe there's a little vibration and bouncing around. It's a little faster than you expect, or you think, oh my gosh, like I'm breathing horribly. And then it kind of settles in. So it's not that sitting, it does probably help us breathe a little bit, but it's the idea that you can feel it, you can notice what's happening. And then the key is to notice the discomfort, whatever it is, if it's physical in your body or kind of clanging around with things I need to be doing and feeling pulled in two directions or 10 directions, or noticing that your mind has gotten off track and then saying, oh, darn it, I got off track. And like just kind of getting wrapped around the axle about what is even happening here? Am I even meditating? Um, what we would like to do, again, because we know we're going to feel a certain amount of discomfort, let's leverage that. Let's take the tiny tear in the muscle and use it to get something that's going to build our skill. So when we notice the discomfort, we might also notice our desire to move away from it. And then we might notice what happens when we choose to sit with the discomfort and sit with our desire to move away from it and do nothing. So that's why there are so many meditation traditions that are quite fierce, and you're not allowed to move at all. And I'm not suggesting that is what we're going to do, because I'm all about a middle way and kind of moderation. But I mean, you could try it. Like, try it. Why not? What I'd like to do for our next piece is to do a much shorter of pieces of silence. So we'll have like a few long moments of silence, and then you'll hear my voice kind of come in and out as an anchor. Okay. So whatever it is that's happening for you, you'll kind of hear my voice come in and out and maybe suggest some images. See if you can sit with the stillness. Mhm. Even when it feels a little discomfort, even when you notice I need to move. Now, if there's pain or some kind of problematic condition for you, you need to take care of yourself. Again, we're talking about leveraging, you know, we're leveraging, I'm lifting my 2-pound weights, that kind of thing. Okay. Um, so make yourself feel all smartied up, well oiled. We'll take one more piece of sitting here, naming it, shifting. Feel the seat, hands, breath. Let the sounds in the room with you be part of what keep you here. Notice how one tiny inflection point might expand and tumble into the next inflection point. Almost as if you entered and then entered and then entered and entered. Take a step away from the activity of the mind. Watch it. Return to the seat, hands, feet, breath. Allow your whole body to listen. The next time you notice any inclination to wiggle or move, consider that a win. Let's see what happens when we stay right next to that discomfort without skipping it. Not fearing to be right there with it. In your imagination, you might picture a child learning to jump from the edge of the swimming pool into the waiting arms of a loved one. This child has just learned how to find the edge of the pool, curling their toes over the rough brick and pushing off, leaping toward water as far as they know could be 1,000,000 miles deep, except for the fact that the loved one is waiting. Let yourself be both the jumper and the catcher. You won't hear the sound of my voice for 2 minutes this time. Bring your mind to here and now. You're welcome to continue sitting or slowly move and shift the body. Come out slowly when you're ready. And a reminder that I'd love to have more conversation about this, but I don't think there's such a thing as a successful or unsuccessful meditation. That's the theory I'm going with. A meditation practice is firmly established and cultivated. If we go back to that sentence of Patanjali, practice becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated. I only gave you one half of the sentence. The full sentence is practice becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated uninterruptedly with devotion over a long period of time. And so I feel like there's a lot more to consider in those words and in that language. But even just starting with this idea of what is practice and what does it mean to be firmly established and how can we get there, um, is a lot to think about. So regardless, I think, of what happens, again, this sentence says nothing about whether it's going to be good or bad or, like, what was it like? It is true that there are times when you're sitting in meditation, you're with the discomfort kind of the whole time. And again, whether it's kind of physical or more, mental chatter, sometimes that is going on the whole entire time. There are times when you can settle like muddy water or the pulpy orange juice, and you get to a point where it feels like a pearl in the heart. You feel like you're both the strong catcher of the child, and the sun is warming you, and you're just cozy right in between those two things. That happens too. So it can all happen, which is part of the idea of not knowing what the meditation is, and therefore trying to get some sense of comfort and control as you enter. A little oil in the gate, a few Smarties along the way, and then of course you could be doing lots of yoga, which is the original purpose of the exercise portion that we think of when we think of yoga, designed to help people sit. That's what it was for. So, we'll have other times, I think, when we can talk about what it means to be uninterrupted, to do something with devotion and over a long period of time. What are the implications there? We're here every Wednesday evening um, practicing, and daily practice is an essential component. So, whatever it is that helps you get into your meditation, may it be lovely. May you have someone to share this time with and debrief afterward. It's helpful to talk to somebody about your meditation. So, you are invited here into the studio anytime to meditate with us. Get in touch, um, and we'll continue practicing as we move forward together. Thank you so much. We can take a community breath to close our practice, maybe again with hands over heart. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free and healthy. And may all beings know peace. Thank you again. Good night and namaste.